Check, check, check. Okay, here we go. Talking about Batman. Hello friends, welcome back to the show. So glad to see you all once again, and thank you for tuning in. This episode's a little off the cuff. I don't really have any notes to go off of today, but I want to talk about the experience that I had watching Batman Beyond as just sort of a recap of the last 3 seasons of the show, going back and reviewing them as an adult. And then I want to talk a little bit about what's coming up next, and both in my life, personally and professionally, and here on the YouTube channel, and what all that's going to look like. Yeah, a little bit of a state of the channel address, if you will. So this is going to be a little off the cuff and maybe a little rambly, but it's just me talking to you. So here we go.
He had class and made sure we were treated like royalty.
First, let's talk about Batman Beyond. I assume that's why you clicked on this video. And I said way back at the beginning, which by the way, if you haven't seen my reviews of Batman Beyond, you can see all the episode reviews. I reviewed each and every episode of Batman Beyond, and then additionally, just the last video I posted was the Return of the Joker, my full review of the movie, which as many of you mentioned, and I think is accurate, is sort of the last chapter of the Batman Beyond series, at least for now. There might be a live version coming. Who knows? I don't know.
You going on patrol sometime tonight?
So I mentioned way back at the beginning when I was talking about doing Batman Beyond that I wasn't as familiar with Batman Beyond. I had watched a few episodes when I was a kid, or when it first came out. I actually wasn't a kid when it came out. I keep saying that, but I've watched a few episodes as a teenager when it came out. But it also came out like in my later high school days when I graduated, was getting ready to graduate and all that. So I was busy and wasn't spending a lot of time watching cartoons. And over the years, I picked up an episode here and there. But I thought this was a great opportunity to sit down, watch the whole series, and talk about it as an adult.
This'll only hurt for a second.
That was a little off from my initial mission statement on this channel, was to go back and watch cartoons from the 80s and 90s that we grew up on as kids and watch them as adults. Well, one, this cartoon didn't really come out in the 80s or 90s. 99, I mean, that's, yeah. Anyway, and I certainly didn't grow up on this show as a kid, and certainly didn't experience it for the first time, wasn't my introduction to Batman or anything like that. But very much so, as many of you have recommended for me to continue the DC animated universe, that this fell in line. I had done Batman, again, you can see all the links to this, but I did Batman the Animated Series, I did Superman the Animated Series, I did the new Batman Adventures, Batman and Robin, the whole series, and then the next installment was Batman Beyond. So it just felt natural to move into that.
And I'm giving you and a couple of others a chance to get in on it.
However, having said that, it was a different experience. I mean, I certainly, watching Batman and Superman has a very much of a nostalgic value for me. Batman the Animated Series, my story, is what introduced me to Batman. It's what made me a Batman fan. It's what made me interested in comic books and that whole world, and kind of spawned this whole interest of mine. So there was a lot of nostalgia and a lot of nostalgic factors to Batman the Animated Series that didn't quite exist as much with Batman Beyond. And so it was a little bit different watching a show that certainly was more geared towards kids than an adult. But I'm glad that I watched it the way that I did. I'm glad that I watched it in sequence and watched it just coming off of the other animated shows, because by itself, it is a good show and it's a great take on Batman. It's a very interesting kind of different thing. And I like their initial plan for the show of going, hey, let's do a teenage Batman, but let's not just be like, oh, what if Bruce Wayne became Batman early? It was a very different take. Future Gotham's cool. There's a lot of neat villains and when the show was really focused on what they were, their own identity, I thought it was good. I thought it was really interesting.
You just don't know when to give up, do you, Batman?
For me, I got excited when they did kind of throwbacks to the original animated series, or Bruce Wayne was more featured and things like that. But I really tried to look at it through the lens of this is what the show is. By itself, it's good. And I can certainly see how if I would have grown up in that time period, and those were my formidable years, and this was kind of my first introduction to Batman, I can totally see where some of you have mentioned this to me, where you're coming from, that this is Batman. This is your Batman. And the same attachment that I have to Batman the Animated Series, which came out when I was 10. I mean, like, I was the key demographic for that show. I could see that applying to Batman Beyond. For me, that wasn't the case. So it's very difficult not to compare it to the original series and the things that I love about that, and the things that I wish they would have done in this show, and the things that weren't done as what, it's easy to do that. And certainly it was just a different time period in animation. I mean, the quality isn't the same as what it was in the original series, and maybe you prefer this kind of more clean, sharp kind of quality. Maybe you, like me, like a little bit of the rough around the edges, hand-drawn more feel to the original series. But to each his own, and whatever it is that gets you interested in Batman, whatever show it is that brought you into this world, welcome. I mean, here we are. We're all Batman fans. And again, it sort of felt like a rite of passage that I needed to watch all these shows, and I'm glad I did. And I'm glad that I was able to have a YouTube channel that gave me an opportunity to watch it for a reason, and to review and talk and discuss with all of you, and getting your takes on the episodes and your opinions. I mean, I cannot tell you how exciting that is, and how much fun that was to experience the show that way. Just made it that much more enjoyable, even for some of the episodes that I was kind of like, it's okay, it's good. But it was fun to talk about those episodes with you.
Man, you picked the wrong booth.
I think the other big difference for me is when I look at the animated series, the original, it's easy for me to go, I don't think there's a bad episode in the group. And if I was to go, oh, these are less than good episodes, it's maybe, the bottom 5, 10 on my list. I think that's even pushing it. But maybe the bottom 5. This very much felt like there was the top 10, which are really good episodes, well done, very well crafted, and then the rest. As I look through my list of ranking the episodes, it just feels like there's so many that are on the bottom half of the list that I'm like, they're battling for last place. There's nothing exciting. The show felt a little bit more formulaic, felt a little bit more like just, we need to fill this time slot, so let's just put out this episode. And again, I think that's just the time and mandate that they were given to do this show in. And certainly it overlapped with developing and the Justice League show and things like that time was a little bit more stretched thin, and so I think they did great with what they had, and there were some really standout episodes, but across the board, I can't say the same thing, that there's not a bad episode, because I think there's some episodes pretty far down on the list here that I have that I go, meh, I could have done without those. Those didn't need to be done.
Phew, this place stinks.
But I do have to say, and if you haven't got a chance to watch my review for Return of the Joker, I was blown away by that movie. I don't want to spoil that video if you haven't got a chance to see that, but I really, really enjoyed that movie, and I would rank that up against many of the great Batman animated movies. It was fantastic, and sort of what I wish they could have incorporated more of in the show, and maybe they would have if they had more time and more, but they had the luxury of a movie and a bigger schedule and a bigger budget and bigger scope and scale. It was very enjoyable. I really, really liked that.
Your renewed faith puts a smile in my heart.
Now going forward, looking at, they're talking about this live action Batman Beyond series, and certainly with HBO Max, it gives them that ability to do that. I don't know anything more than all of you know of these kind of rumors and statements that happening. I would love to see Michael Keaton return as a old Bruce Wayne, but I think the concept of Batman Beyond is very cool. A futuristic Gotham, a high-tech Batman, and Bruce Wayne as kind of an oracle character and using his skills talking to Terry. I think the concept of it is really cool. So I would be excited to see what they do with it now, today, and certainly in a live action setting. I would even enjoy seeing a new interpretation, an animated version of Batman Beyond.
I think it's time your protege joined the Justice League.
So I love the concept of Batman Beyond. I don't think that it was executed as well as it could have, or maybe more appropriately as I don't think that it held up over 20 years as well as the animated series. Just my personal opinion. Please leave a comment. Disagree with me if you think I'm way off base, but that's sort of my kind of interpretation of the episodes. I enjoyed them. I'm glad that I watched them. I'm glad that I did this series to review those, but in my opinion, just doesn't hold up against the original animated series.
It helps sell fish.
Which brings me to the next phase of this channel, is where to go from here. I kind of started on a path reviewing the DC animated world by starting with Batman the Animated Series, because that was my favorite cartoon from the 90s, and then it just seemed natural to kind of follow that trend and move my way through. But Batman Beyond was pushing it as far as getting out of my childhood and that those type of cartoons that I really enjoyed. But now I've started it, so I'm kind of at a crossroads. I'm kind of looking at, I feel like to wrap up this kind of series and this progression, and certainly a lot of you have suggested this and want to see me continue and review Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. And I do. I think that I will. I really think that needs to happen. I need to have those episodes on the channel. It may look different. I may do something a little bit different with those episodes. Maybe there will be less produced, less constructed, more just watching the episode and reacting to them sort of thing, or maybe more live stream will be incorporated in that. I don't know. I really don't know right now how I want to do that or what those episodes will look like, but I do feel like I need to incorporate that into the channel. But also, what I do know that I want to do is get back to the mission of this channel, is to look at other cartoons that I grew up on. Even, dare I say it, stepping away from Batman and DC, but looking at some of the other great cartoons from the 80s and 90s. X-Men is another one that was around that same time of Batman the Animated Series that was just fantastic. And then there's other kind of like lesser popular shows from the 90s that if you grew up in my generation were a big deal and very fun. I remember really enjoying Mighty Ducks and Brave Star and some of the goofier shows, Freakazoid and Cowboys and Moo Mesa, and just, there's all kinds of cartoons that were just a lot of fun. And then rewinding the clock even more in the 80s, the shows that I grew up on, G.I. Joe and Transformers naturally, but some of the other ones that don't get talked about as much, Mask and Centurions and shows like that that's what I'm interested in, and that's what I kind of set out to do on this channel, and kind of thankfully went off in this path of following the DC animated universe, but I want to get back to some of that. So there may be some mixture. There may be, okay, I'm going to do an episode of Justice League, but then I'm going to talk about an episode of SWAT Cats. It could be anything. I don't know where I want to go with that, but the sky's the limit. There's so many great cartoons that I want to look at and review, and I may be doing more videos just talking about a whole series, talking about a whole show rather than reviewing each and individual episode. I want to incorporate live into these episodes. So I know this sounds like a lot of wish list sort of things, but I say this to preface what I'm about to say, and that is that I will continue producing types of shows on this channel. One of the best parts about creating this channel is building this community, and all of you that have found me, which, by the way, if you didn't get a chance to see my live stream celebrating 3,000 subscribers, which is kind of a cool milestone. Certainly not huge compared to some of the large channels out there, but very, very cool for me, and very, very excited to have reached that milestone. And so I will continue to build this community and continue to talk with all of you and share my experiences of cartoons, a lot of exciting content that is on its way.
I'm gonna need help. Expert help.
Having said that, as I've done in the past, I'm going to be kind of taking a little bit of break to focus on some other things in my life. And most notably, and I shared this on the live streams, but for those of you that haven't seen that, my wife and I are expecting our first baby here any day now. In fact, by the time this video comes out, she may be here. And we're very excited about that. We're very excited to start that next chapter in my family. And for those of you that have kids, or were a kid, or in a family with kids, or whatever, that could be very time consuming. So I wanted to get these videos done and out there, finish the Batman Beyond kind of chapter of this channel. And please give me a little bit of patience that I'm going to take a break and step away from the YouTube channel a little bit. Maybe I'll have a live stream here. Maybe I'll release a little review or a little video here and there. Certainly you can follow me on Instagram to see what's going on. And then hopefully in the fall, I'll be getting back into production and hopefully have a good handle on this being a dad thing, that I will be able to focus on some other things. So very excited about what's going on in my life personally. My wife and I are over the moon excited to become parents and to bring this baby into the world, and selfishly, I'm excited to share Batman with her and show her all the joys and introducing her to Batman. And so that's exciting news. I'm very excited about it. Yes, it's going to take up a little bit of time, and that's why I think this is an appropriate time to kind of take a little break over the summer. But I'll be back, and it will also give me a chance to kind of think about how I want to proceed with the channel and what that looks like and the types of videos I want to do and all those sorts of things as well. So great stuff coming down the pipe. And in the meantime, look at my channel. I've got plenty of content out there, plenty of videos. You can catch up and see the things that maybe you missed along the way. And I always appreciate it when people share these things. And so that's a little snapshot of what's going on in my life and what that's going to look like going forward. And hopefully it means that things are just going to be bigger and better when I come back in the fall. So thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for being a part of this channel. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all the feedback and all the conversation in the comments. I always enjoy seeing that. I always love connecting with all of you. And I can say with all the confidence that I will see you very soon. And whether it's here on this channel or some of my other channels, and be sure to check out all the content that is coming up. And more important than ever, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so that you're notified when new episodes come out. And it'll be here before you know it. But I'm going to go spend a little bit of time being a dad, and I think all of you will understand that. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for watching this video, and thank you for enjoying and being a part of this community, because this channel without you is nothing. It's just me talking to myself in front of a camera. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Andy Knode, and I'll see you soon.